Hello everyone, welcome back to our Fusion series. My name is Xavier and today I'll be going over 3D modeling in Fusion. So let's create a new sketch on our bottommost plane facing down from the top. So let's create a new sketch and let's create a center point rectangle. So let's go to center point rectangle and let's create a 1 inch by 1 inch rectangle. Press enter and then press finish sketch, and now let's extrude this. So we're gonna just make this go up maybe 1 inch. So it's a cube, and let's talk about this type of stuff. So this is not really important right now because it's not touching any other body. So these don't really apply right now. What matters is new body and new component. So new component, we'll talk about this later. But basically, you can use joints on this. You can do different motion sets. You can do different things that basically relate to the final assembly. So we'll do that later. But right now we want a new body. Okay. So with our new body, we'll talk about how these planes work. So basically, the center origin. Let's go back to our home view. As you can see, like the origin actually is within the cube because we made it in the center. So these planes that we normally create sketches on are like it's not even inside. So the only plane that actually like is in line with this is this bottom plane. But as you can see, these planes are offset from this. So the way to achieve this effect without making it a new object is by clicking the offset plane button. Click on, let's just make the thing invisible. And now we can click on this, and now we can just offset our plane by 2 inches. And let's press OK. And now we can re-enable it. We can re-enable this. Actually, let's disable that. And now you can see that this plane is separated from this. So now we can create an independent object from like the plane. You can make it distant. We can create a new like rectangle here. We can finish that. As you can see, this plane and this plane are different in 3D like space, but when you line them up like this, they look like they're in the same plane. But in 3D space, you can see that they're different. So like that's an important tool whenever you're trying to design 3D objects in Fusion. So let's just delete this. Okay, so now what we want to do is let's change this basic cube. Let's add something to this cube. So let's go here. And as you can see, this plane is separated from that plane. And let's create, let's say, a circle of 0.5. Okay, let's finish that. Okay. Now what we can do is go back to extrude. We can click this. And now, as you can see, we can like add something. We can subtract something. And we can also just create a new body here. So if you want to cut something out from this cube, instead of having to like know the exact dimension of the cube, you can just go here and then press all, and then it's gonna cut every single thing out from this plane to this plane of the cube. So this is a very helpful tool. And then you can also flip it. It doesn't work right now because there's nothing over here, but if you flipped it, this would like make the cut happen 1 inch this way. So we can flip this back, and yeah, let's go to join. Okay, so join, we can change the distance it comes out this way, that way. It can intersect it like this, but you don't want to do that. You just make sure that whenever you're doing something like this, that it goes like doesn't go within the object, because that kind of makes Fusion like bug out a little bit. So we can just do that. And now let's say we don't want it to be like connected. Let's say we want to make it two different things. So let's go here. Let's go to new body. Now you can press OK, and you can see that even though they look like they're one thing, this is actually independent. So let's go to our move tool and let's click this, and hold on, click M and click this. Let's do this. Okay, and now we can go here, and as you can see, these things are not connected. But let's go back on our timeline and let's make them connected. Let's do join. Okay, and now you can see that this translation that we just did affected the entirety of the cube. So it's a very important thing to use the timeline like that. If you want to affect something in the future of your Fusion design, make sure that you go back in the timeline and change that. So let's delete this all now. Okay. All I did was just shift and click. So if you want to delete like a lot of things, just shift and click. All right. So let's talk about another tool. Let's make it. So let's say we want to make a sphere, right? But instead of using the actual sphere tool like this, you can just drag out a sphere like that. Let's say we don't want to do that. Let's say we want to make it manually. So let's go to our surface. Let's go here and let's click this right plane. Okay. And now let's make a circle. Let's disable the origin. All right. Let's make a circle of 0.5. All right. Now we need to cut this in half. So let's just make a line that runs through this. And we can use one of our constraints for this. Let me demonstrate a constraint right now. So let's just go here. We can do coincident. And we can make it coincident to the center of the circle. And there. Now you can see it's still crooked, so we can do horizontal, and then boom, we just make a completely constrained sketch. So let's just trim this. So the trim tool basically allows us to just basically limit specific elements of our sketch. So we don't want to have these like lines sticking out. We don't want this. We want to have half a circle. After doing that, we can press finish, and then there we have our half circle. So let's say we want to make a sphere. We go back here, we go to our revolve tool, we click our profile, which is the sketch, and we can click our axis, which is basically this line that's dividing the circle into two. And as you can see, we just made a full circle like that. So this is actually like more unique than the sphere tool, because you can create like different portions of a circle. So you can create like 3/4, you can create a half, you can create a quarter. So this tool is very useful for creating like more unique sketches in Fusion. I mean, more unique 3D objects in Fusion. So you can press cancel, you can delete this. Okay. And the final tool I want to talk about right now is the loft tool. So let's create a new sketch here. Okay, sketch, and let's create a center point rectangle. We can make it, let's say 1 inch by 1 inch. Remember to press tab whenever you're doing dimensions like that, and then press enter, and then press confirm. Okay, and now instead of having to like make a new object and then click the plane to make a new sketch there, just press our offset plane, and then we're gonna click this, and we're gonna offset this by, and actually I clicked the actual sketch we made. You can also do that, it's okay. So we can just do like 1 inch. We can press that, and I want to create a new sketch on this. So we're gonna click this, and make sure you're facing the way you want to be facing, like with the view cube. So if you face like this, you're gonna be facing down. If you face like this, you're facing upwards. We want to face upwards. And actually, since we're in line with the previous thing, we're gonna see it in 3D space, right? We're gonna see these things in 3D space. So if you don't want to see what you did before, just click sketch. What sketch is this? You can click that, and you'll see that this is this sketch. And now you can just make your thing on this plane, and you don't see that other sketch anymore. So let's make our center point rectangle. Let's go here, rectangle, and let's make a 0.5 by 0.5 rectangle. Okay, then press finish sketch, and now let's unblur it. Let's remake it. Yeah, okay. And now you can see these are both in the same 3D space, but they're distant from each other. They're independent of each other. So now what we can do is we can go to our loft tool, and now we can click both of these, and then boom. Fusion just automatically allows us to make 4 planes that are like at an angle like this. And you can also offset planes at angles. You can do stuff like that. You can see there's different things like that. There's lots of different plane options. But here, Fusion just automatically does it for us. So that's a very neat feature. All right, now we can go on to talking about our next feature. So let's say we want to duplicate this, right? So let's just select this, and let's select M, okay? And now instead of having to like Control C, Control V or whatever, you just press create a copy, and then make sure, actually, hold on, that's actually a very good thing. You see how that this move tool is actually like slanted? That means that instead of moving it like left, right, forward, back, it's going to be moving at an angle like this. So if you don't want that, just go to translate, and it's going to automatically convert to like this, so it moves on the plane like flatly. So let's just move in, let's create a new one over here, create a copy, and press OK. Now we have 2 of the identical object, and as you can see, these are 2 different bodies. So, okay. So for our next tool in Fusion, we're going to talk about the joint tool. So joints are a function of components. So components are basically things that are used in your final assembly. Instead of having to like create one body or multiple bodies that just like touch each other, all like they basically intersect each other. With components, they actually have physical properties, so you can't have them intersect. They actually act like physical objects. So we're gonna click these, we're gonna like click that, and then it's gonna create a body. Make sure you click one at a time. So just do that, press OK, and then do it again with the other one from body there, and then OK. And as you can see, these are actually now components. So all right, let's talk about this. So as you can see, um, ignore this because this is the body, right? Whenever you do that, you're creating from a body, so just the body is also still remaining from that. So just ignore that. And as you can see, you can move these components around. So these components aren't like bodies; like they can just move them around like freely like this. And as you can see, this one can't move freely, and that's because it is anchored to the parent. What that means is that it is stuck. Basically, it can't move from where it is right now, and the positions in Fusion are also stored. So as you can see here, you can revert the position, and when you first made them objects, that's stored. So whenever you press revert, it's gonna go back to from where it was first made as a component. So let's go on to join, and let's say, all right, so this tool right here, it's gonna ask for you to like select a place for it to join one part to another. So let's say we want our origin to be here, and we want it to snap, which basically means it's gonna go over here. As you can see, it automatically understands that this face and this face have to be touching each other because that's the way I selected it. So if I just press Command or Control, oops, as you can see, like these two faces are like facing upwards together. But when I do that in Fusion, when I create a new joint like that, Fusion understands that they have to be touching each other like that. So also the reason why I just did that, the reason why I went from here to there is because this thing cannot move. This thing always has to be in the same position. So it decided that it had to move this on top of that. So that's a part of like the thing Fusion automatically does. So in the joint selection, you can create different types of joints. So let's say we want this thing to spin around the bottom thing. So we can click on revolute, and as you can see there, it just automatically starts moving. So this is acting like a physical object. So I can click there, and I have a new joint tab. If I go to joints, I can click on the revolute, and I can press animate joint relationships, and there, boom, we can just it just spins freely like this. It's acting like a physical object. So we're gonna talk about more of this stuff later with our later projects. You can do different things with this. You can like link two different joints together. You can enable like all contact, and that like just makes it so that if one is touching the other thing, it's gonna make it move like a physical object. And yeah, that's basically the things you need to know right now for the 3D modeling. Thanks for watching.